So in other words, I think we ought to radically increase legal immigration. There are all kinds of people who can make our country a lot better, smart people, people who are ambitious and well-educated and really help. We, of course, keep them out. And there are a lot of people who actually aren't helping and who arrive here, by definition, with complete disrespect for our laws, and we don't do anything about it because we want cheap labor. I think it's an awful, it's the worst of all. So I would radically increase legal immigration and end illegal immigration if I were God. Unfortunately,
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Andreas. I'm from Austria, and I'm a freshman at Princeton. And,
okay, you're the person I'm talking about. Right, welcome, Mark. Right, get the hell out.
All right,
You could be governor of California, though.
First, I'll worry about the question. So, you both spoke about overestimating Obama and how there's danger to that because we will lose faith if he doesn't fulfill our expectations. Do you think that the great faith that the American people now have for Obama is a potential asset that can be used by him and his administration to achieve the unachievable?
Of course. I mean, it's better to be popular than unpopular. I mean, it's better to be Obama than Bush. There's no doubt about it. You'd rather have people, think a lot of you than a little. I just think it's just a problem that is unacknowledged, I guess, potentially. I don't think it is going to destroy his presidency or anything. I do think, though, one point that I didn't articulate but that I feel very strongly, I think Americans themselves have an obligation not to worship their leaders. I don't care who the leader is. I mean, when you see Republicans get up in their debates and, Ronald Reagan walked across the tidal basin, they sort of hold up Reagan as this godlike figure. It's every bit as nauseating as when Democrats act as if Barack Obama has supernatural power. There's something very un-American about that. We don't worship our leaders, they work for us. This is a republic, it's a democracy. They're our servants. They are not above us in any way. And so when they do things like close every single bridge between Virginia and the District of Columbia because somehow that keeps the president-elect safer, no person has the right to do that. We're a free country. And I think all people have this natural instinct to worship authority, to suck up to power. It's just in us, we can't help it, but we ought to fight against it, especially in this country. That's what separates us from the rest of the world. And increasingly, we are sort of willing to worship our leaders. It's disgusting. It's not Obama's fault. I'm not blaming him for it. It's our fault. We should stop it.
The question would be, how can he leverage that popularity to do the things he wants to do? The tough things, which is why I think Tucker's point earlier was so impressive. I bet you very few people voted for Barack over Hillary because they wanted Hillary to run foreign policy. Right? Very few people voted for Barack against McCain because they wanted to keep Bush's defense secretary. And yet Barack has done that. And in doing so has still maintained the support of all those people who didn't like Bush's Pentagon policy and didn't like Hillary's foreign policy. That's the trick. It's not simply whether you're popular or not or whether you spend your capital down. It's can you do it and maintain your popularity. You know who signed into law the largest tax increase in American history as a function of GDP, which is only since the World War II? Ronald Reagan. The most anti-tax president we ever had, signed the biggest tax increase in history, and he kept his anti-tax base with him. That's legerdemain, that's talent, that's leadership of the best sort. And that's, I think, what, at least if you look at the transition, that's what President-elect Obama is trying to do. I mean, there's a much easier path to popularity for Obama, and he's not pursuing it. So I've been very impressed at simultaneously challenging his supporters, but also maintaining that support while doing it. And, it worked for President Clinton, something we worked on a lot, something Reagan succeeded at as well. And that to me is what's most impressive. If you listen to President Bush today, going out the door with 27%, he actually says, well, that's because I made the hard decisions. So, okay, so a lack of support from your bosses is a sign you did a good job.